be happy to take your questions.
Is this first case in a child or an adult?
Because of medical privacy issues and laws, we can't disclose that.
Governor, do you know for what period of time this person was in the school and contagious? Was it the full 8 days, or was it a couple of days of age?
We do know that, Eric, in general, we have that determined, and it's also relatively good news in terms of the fact that there was a weekend involved and some other things. But again, because of the way that the federal and state laws are structured around medical privacy, we can't get into the details of that.
But you can talk a little bit about whether the student, when the student came down, when the test was sent into, or when the sample was taken. You know, can you talk a little bit more about that? Just a little bit more timeline on that.
Well, first of all, we refer to the individual as a person because it's your question says student. It may not be a student. So I'll defer to Sandy on the timeline of it. But again, we would tell you if we could, but the laws limit us as to what we could say. But we can give you at least a general timeline.
The specimen came in to the Department of Health on the 28th. It was tested on the 28th and found to be probable. And that at that time it was sent to the CDC, and it was flown down overnight. So that was into Wednesday morning. And it was flown down to CDC, and we received the phone call from CDC very early this morning with the result that it was a confirmed H1N1 novel influenza.
So the sample was taken on the 28th too by a physician or a clinic?
Right, well, I don't know that for certain. I know that we received it, but people have been sending them in pretty quickly, and they're not waiting on these.
Dr. Magnan, yesterday, Dr. Linfield had said that this was someone who hadn't been in Mexico, but had been in contact with someone who was, which implies, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the other person may have been a carrier or is infected themselves. I mean, can you be a carrier of this virus without getting sick, or is this imply that someone else is sick in the chain?
Well, that's part of our investigation, trying to do these concentric circles to try to track down and figure out what is really going on with this. This is, by definition, novel influenza. This is new, and therefore we don't know a lot about how this acts. So in essence, this investigation that we're doing here is crucial to understanding how this virus operates. But typically with influenza, you can have it and be infectious a day, 24 hours before you have any symptoms. So you can be spreading it and not have any symptoms yourself. And then typically with influenza, you are infectious for 7 days after you have it, after you come down with symptoms. That's what we're saying for novel. Certainly other influenza can act somewhat differently.
So